Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Touchline Pod. I'm your host, Michelle, and with me today we have the regular suspects on the panel. We have Cass. I don't know why his face is looking like a turtle because he should be proud considering what AC Milan did. And Henas, Swaggu, Steezy, our Arsenal Delulu is still giving us so much swag, even if Arsenal has practically given the league title away to Liverpool. Well done. Continue. And our level-headed Chelsea fan, Nnamdi. So we are going to start on a beautiful, positive note because we have been told on this podcast that AC Milan is not a serious team. I think the players heard what their supposed fan, faithful fan of years, has said and decided to show him by comprehensively dispatching Inter Milan that has been touted on this podcast and I'm sure elsewhere as one of the best teams this year. Tunde, as I have always given the floor to this Arsenal fan, this is your time to shine. Tell us what happened. We want to hear from you that calls the team a useless team, an unserious team, beating Inter Milan by 3 goals. What happened?
Well, my opinion has still not changed about the team. I'm not the kind of fan that picks on one performance or 2 or 3 performances and say, "Oh, a season does not just end in one game. A season is a competition of 38 games in the league, about 12 other 13 games to win some other major cups all around Europe and the like." So they did well. They played very well. Inter were a bit unlucky in the first half. They should have scored two goals before Milan even started scoring at all. All thanks to the crossbar for one, and then one very good save from Mike as well. So 3-0 again.
He was just doing his job. He's there to stop goals that come on target. So it's not
Yeah,
that.
yeah. But then when you make major saves, you have to say, "Oh, you have done something spectacular. Let's give him his
Okay,
flower."
at least.
However,
Okay.
it doesn't change the fact that the whole team as a whole needs a general overhaul. So dependence on Rafael Leao and Theo Hernandez has to stop. We have to move on from those guys and move on to the next big thing that the project might want to focus on going forward. For a team that finished, I think, second last season
Okay.
and then finished in the semi-final of the UEFA Champions League, losing to Inter Milan, I don't think being ninth on the table this season is anything that any fan should be proud of.
Standards.
However, we've not won the Coppa Italia yet. We are meeting Bologna, who happens to be on a kind of form that everybody should be scared of in the Italian Serie A. But let's see how it goes. But for what they did against Inter, it was very good. However, a friend of mine, shout out to Toby, he messaged me in the morning and said, "Oh, you said this Inter Milan was a very good team." I said, "The case of Inter Milan and AC Milan is a function of
Husband
husband
and
and wife.
wife.
You don't meddle in issues of husband and wife. You'll be the one with the straight bullet at the end of the day. This season, Milan might beat Inter. This season, we've never lost. We've never lost to Inter this season at all.
Seriously?
Hmm.
Wow.
That's something. That's
Check
something actually.
the start this season. We've not lost to them. It has been draw. We won them at their home in San Siro, quote and unquote. But yes, like I said, I'll give it to them. They did their best. They tried. Beating Inter Milan is not an easy task. However, I think Bicek started for Inter. So Inter were also trying to be careful. They've got some other big major trophy in front of them. So, but that's not an excuse to lose to that kind of Milan. But overall, I would say Milan did their best. They gave in their best. They did what they needed to do. Jovic, which I felt was was not an inconsequential striker. Gave us 2 goals. So what can we say? We just have to be happy.
Okay. All right. This is what it looks like when your team wins. All right. So there's no reprieve for them. There's no place where you're going to actually be excited for them until they start winning the league or looking like Arsenal that wants to win the league. Okay, that is what anybody else has anything to say about this AC Milan because our Milan spokesman has given everything, which is something that I think Arsenal fans should take note of. That the whole season is not just 2 or 7 games; it's a compilation of a lot of games. Because some people just win 2 games and then they say that they don't care, they can do whatever they like because they're playing the semi-finals of the Champions League. I'm not calling any names. Okay. That being said, let us still stay in Italy before because we know that when we go to England, we are not going to hear the end of how good Arsenal has been in Champions League. So let's stay in Italy for now. Last on one of the recent episodes, I remember asking the chances that the teams left had to win a league and the Champions League double. And Inter Milan was one of them, and we were talking about how good they were defensively. But then I remember pointing out that all they needed to do was just slip up once, and Napoli was going to be there for the taking. And they have faltered on their way to the Scudetto, their Scudetto quest. Level on points with Napoli, similar, similar form, 4 wins. Is it 4 wins, 8 draws, 21 wins, something, 4 losses rather? Where is that league table? Yeah, there it is. Both of them have lost 4 games, both of them have drawn 8 games and won 21 games, both on 71 points. Inter just top of the table by virtue of goal difference. 40, Inter Milan has 40, Napoli has 27. So, Namdi, what do you think is going to happen? Can Napoli snatch this league?
No, I doubt it. Well, see, it's going to be an interesting running. I can't just believe that Inter Milan has given leeway for Napoli to finally gain that ground. So it's going to be a very interesting running. And, you know, like, admittedly, they have Champions League aspirations to also consider. And I don't understand how they did it, Sha. They start opening themselves up to the worst possible outcome. But I'm still confused. Like, but it is what it is. And we said here earlier on this podcast that Conte
League manager.
is a proper league manager.
Yeah.
That's his specialty. So we have finally gotten to that point where he might just win it. But we'll see. We'll see. I don't think they have the
The capacity.
I don't think they will lose out, but I don't still understand what they're doing. Like, it's confusing me, but it's fine. Part of football.
Okay. Henry, we know we are not on Arsenal yet, but still on this Inter Milan topic, do you think the load is too much for them at this stage? Because the funny thing is, I I forgot that they were in the running for the Coppa Italia as well when I asked that question last time. So they were on course for a treble. They've actually lost one now, and in the same week, they have actually given up their ground in the league, and they're actually coming up against a Barcelona who is actually potent in the attack, but then it's also vulnerable in their defense, which is one of the reasons that a lot of people are still going to give Inter Milan the edge to get past Barcelona. So, do you think this is a question of too much for them to actually do at this point?
Just before I go, quick one. I just wanted to shout out the Vatican and the loss of our Pope.
Uh,
Yeah, it was something deep. And since we're talking about Italian football, we might as well acknowledge him and may his soul rest in peace.
Amen.
and hopefully we get a good successor and someone that would lead us. Now, to answer the question, I think I've been an advocate of the load. I think there's a lot of things to, you know, that contextually play in this topic per se. And Inter Milan happened to be very, very good, balanced, very, very solid team. And so when you begin to see them falter, you then have to ask that question and maybe force yourself to see answers. Um, I actually did not even know they were in Coppa Italia, but then I wasn't surprised. We just did not acknowledge that cup. So they were in for treble, and like you said, rightfully, they looked like they began to drop momentum in the league. And Namdi made mention of how much we've spoken about Conte. It just goes to show you, no matter how the team is and or how the squad plays in terms of being balanced, there's if it's a very competitive league, there's a good chance the load will eventually tell on them. As regarding the league, I think this is where Conte might just edge it. When we look at the pedigree of the two coaches, I don't think Simeone would particularly stand against Conte if they go head to head, especially with the way the numbers are. Um, and as regarding Champions League, if I compare it to what happened in the Coppa Italia, because I looked at the extended highlight again, Inter actually played very, very well. They played, they actually play even better attacking football than I thought. Because I'd actually think, based on our analysis and a lot of things we know about them, I'll think they played defensive. So they actually played very, very well. But AC Milan did something I'm afraid Barcelona might even be better at. Just really having players that would take those chances. We know Lewandowski, obviously Lamine Yamal, and the form Rafinha has been on. So it's not looking bleak. I think Inter are very capable of still managing everything. Now they're out of the Italia, it might be easier for them. But yeah, if care's not taken, I think I might begin to tip Conte solely because he's concentrating on one thing and one thing only. And then
Yeah.
in the Champions League at this stage, obviously I was speaking with someone, we had a chat at work, and we're talking about how, as it gets closer to the final, rather than play tactically, you begin to maybe expatiate on a few things you would have left to home and away. So at this stage now, it might be very much Barca versus Inter playing neutral, be it in San Siro or New Camp, like they're playing to win that game, you understand? So
All right.
I think the depth has shown, and yeah, it still goes back to the load. Don't forget, we still have the other one coming up in the summer.
No, we're not talking about when right now we're talking about the league. Whatever is that's World Club Cup now. We're not looking
I
into
think
that.
I've sort of analyzed that or talked about that, but I'm just shouting on the load. I'm still part of the advocate of the load. The load is data. Well, we'll talk about that on the new podcast.
Sunday, I've looked at the fixtures for Napoli. Napoli's remaining games, they actually are playing Torino, Lecce, Genoa, Parma, Cagliari. All of them are 11th and below.
Winnable games for Napoli. Yep.
You would like to think that they're winnable games with the running and Conte actually seeing a clearer path to the Scudetto. Whereas Inter Milan, first of all, this weekend they have to figure out how to deal with Roma. After that, they go to Barcelona. Verona is the next game in between that, and they still have Lazio before the end of the season. And Como is there. Como is their last game, and if I'm not mistaken, Como has actually Fabregas has actually started doing his tactics
Good
has
job.
started
Yep.
taking hold
Yep.
with Como. So when you look at even the games, the games in the league, Inter looks like they have more trickish games or more challenging games they actually have to get through to win the Scudetto. So do you still think? Do you think Simeone is still in a good chance? Like if you're going to give it percentage chance, do you think it's still 50-50 to win the Scudetto for Simeone and Conte, or there is a slight edge one has over the other, depending based on this I just said.
So based on what you just said, I would say Napoli should have the edge. However, we know Inter Milan. We've seen them in very difficult situations before, and we see how they can actually pull themselves out of this situation. They are not new to winning the league, so it's not like they are alien or they are just winning it for the first time and they have to, Yes, the workload might be too much, but like I said, I'm not going to be on the side of Henry this time around. I don't feel the workload. You don't want the workload to be this much. Cut down on what you get as salary as well, so that the salary can go to other new young players, and then you can have more people in the squad than one person just having. If you are paying me 400,000, 500,000 a week, 250,000 a week, then I shouldn't be complaining about workload. I'm there. That is just my job. Like someone said, Didi and I said, you get the best hotel, you hit the best food, you have the best doctors, you have the best of everything. All you just have to do is come on the field and do a 90 minutes job, and that is it. Nobody's holding on to you. Nobody's saying, and there's no way. There's definitely going to be breaks. I'm not saying there's no fatigue. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying with what they are paying to these players now, there's no way anybody will convince me that they should have those breaks. If it were to be when the likes of the Paul Scholes, when they were just on how many thousands, a few, 120, yes, you can see.
120 was the big money then, no?
Even to this moment,
When Ferdinand first got it.
Paul Scholes in this present time will be on maybe about 350, 350, 400,000. You understand? But that is not even the conversation. Anyways, let's come back to Inter Milan. If Inter Milan are able to pull through, I think they will edge Napoli. I just checked the stats. I saw that Napoli has only probably won Inter in the last probably 6, 7, 8 meetings. They've only won once. Inter Milan has always been at advantage at every point in time, which means Inzaghi has something that he uses over Conte.
But they're not meeting, but both of them are actually not meeting before the end of the season again. So that has no bearing on.
If the game ends and Inter ends up to win the remaining game, and Napoli ends to win the remaining game, there will be the cup. The whoever wins the cup, we have to play. They will have to play a match to decide that at the end of the season. That's what I
oh,
mean.
theirs is different. Yes, from English league. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's no goal difference. Yeah.
Oh, so the head to head, no goal difference. They actually have
No,
to
I think it
dig
was
deep.
draw. I think it was draw. I think it was draw at both ends.
Yes, yes,
So they have to play a final match, which will be in San Siro.
yes.
Ah,
For the advantage of the person on top.
I'm not a big fan of Conte in situations.
I don't. Anyways, all right, I see what you mean. But that being said, actually, based on the quality, the strength of the difficulty, you would say, of the fixtures, you can try to analyze based on their league positions and all that. Napoli looks like they actually have an edge, less games. This guy still has to think of how he's going to rest players in that Verona game, and that resting players in Verona game against the second leg for this thing might actually affect the result. They might actually draw that game because they don't need to lose. They actually just need to draw, and Conte needs to win the rest of his games, and that's it. One draw, Conte wins
But
the
we're
game.
not certain Conte is going to win as well.
No, like no, and I'm not. It's not that that's the thing. This ties back to this thing we were talking about last time. Now look at both of them. The league table shows both of them are actually in the same point, but Napoli has conceded only 25 goals, while Inter has conceded 32 goals. What wins championships? Attack or defense? Here we
Oh
are.
goodness, what is this
No,
guy bringing
it
to
might
the
actually tie back
game?
into this. All Conte needs to do
Man.
is win 1-0, 1-0, whatever he has been doing.
But
Win 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0. Sometimes he's basically to score 5 goals and don't concede any, which he can do. Even the Inter Milan that we were shouting about being a very fantastic good team. We are always raving about their defense too.
their defense is good. Inter Milan is a better team than Napoli.
Them conceding 3 goals against.
Inter Milan is a better team than Napoli.
Yes, we agree. Nobody's arguing. That's not the argument we're making here. I've not said that Napoli is a better team than Inter Milan. I've not said that, and I'm not going to say that. What we are talking about, what I'm mentioning here, I'm just highlighting because this is an argument that we had the last time about attack or defense, what wins championships, what wins you titles. And I'm pointing out here that Napoli actually has a better defensive record, considered less goals. Not just 7 goals less. So you can imagine how many games they've actually won by 2-1 and 1-0. And they are here on the same level of points with Inter Milan that is actually better going forward still than them. So it's something to be said. Anyway, that being said, let us give Henry a chance to either hide his head, or show us his Delulu ways. Arsenal has decided that they want Liverpool to get the league title a little earlier, so they drew against Crystal Palace. And I know that some people are going to say, we are focusing on the Champions League. Before we started recording, somebody said, I can do what I like because I'm going to play the semi-finals of the Champions League. So, Henry, are you going to tell me now that Arsenal decided that Liverpool should just win the league and they're going to play Champions League? What happened against Crystal Palace?
Well, look, I can't sit down here and tell you we decided we weren't going to win the league or things like that. You know, what I mean, those would just be excuses on my end, and it'll just be baffling. And I don't think you would take me serious if I came and said that as a fan. So I like to say we thought we could challenge on that end. We definitely have seen what a striker can do for a team, especially a team like Arsenal's in this particular predicament. I was just looking at the stat. We have drawn about 13 games this season, and we might
Yeah,
even make
that's
a
a lot.
record of drawing 13 games and still finishing second. So it's something a bit bizarre, but I don't think it's too complex to understand because having a striker would have really given us the edge over many games. Look at what Mateta did today. I won't say I was disappointed. I was look somewhere deep down. I think the Premier League, it's it's gone. I have to say it's been gone.
Somewhere deep down.
It's somewhere deep down. I remember one of the episodes where we spoke about who was going to win the league, and you guys were quite confident about Liverpool with that gap they had of about 11 points. So yeah, I'm not going to say we didn't take that. I think it's a poor run on our side. We should have competed. I expected a bit more from us in the Premier League. It's a bit disappointing. I'm sitting down here trying to justify it. I would have thought we will, put some bit of fight against Liverpool, even if it was sort of glaring from maybe the first 10, 15 games that they were going to edge this. And but it just goes to show the clumsiness of our management and not getting a striker particularly. I have to resound that because many of the games we drew, look at the Brentford game, look at the Everton game. These are games that should we have a striker, not even the best striker, just someone that would be of threat in the box.
Like a generational talent that got injured.
Well, I mean, when he was there, we competed to the last day, so I'm not gonna throw him away. Shout out to Havertz. I think
Yes.
he's done his part. These guys are trying to hold their laugh, but
Tunde,
it is what it
what's
is.
happening to
Tunde,
your
Tunde, feel
face?
free to laugh.
Keep
Feel
your
free to
face
laugh.
straight now.
It's all right.
No. The thing is, when I was trying to like state the obvious fact, then
Arsenal needs a
the
striker. Yeah.
Mm.
the delusional side of the fan
The
base
Lulu.
came for me and
The
they said,
Lulu.
"Oh, we have a striker. Oh, is the perfect striker.
Generational
Oh,
talent.
this guy is not going to take you guys to anywhere." And in fact, you should be thankful that Kai Havertz was even injured. If he were not to be injured, there's something that the absence of Kai Havertz is bringing to that team. I think probably in terms of mentality, and I'm not saying Kai Havertz was the problem. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying maybe losing him brought in a kind of desire in them to to do a lot better than they were doing before. I see a more dangerous Arsenal team without this Kayava than the one they have with Merino.
Okay, if you say so. That people are going to say that they competed to the end of the season. Tunde Harry has mentioned that they competed to the end of the season last season with Kai Havertz, and now he's not there. They are losing.
They've competed to the end of the season like 3 seasons in a row now.
Well, just to really throw points in that,
Mad
because I
respect,
know
mad respect.
I have to give
Credit.
Tunde his credit for pointing that out. I don't think it's something we didn't know, but look, we're fans, and plus we have it. We competed, like I said, to the end. So, in as much as I think we have lost it. Tunde also makes a point there in saying losing him as a striker, which I think we missed, but it also has opened an avenue that we didn't know we could utilize with Merino and Trossard, and getting that running in the number 9 position. But look, I can't complain. I'll just like to wrap it up with we've you guys know where I'm going with this, so I'm not gonna rub it on your face. It takes it takes
No, I was not going to listen. This is not Arsenal bashing episode. Arsenal bashing episode. We'll do that a little later. Hopefully, by the time something happens in the
it's nothing to
next
bash.
two, three
Like I'm
weeks,
literally in the semi-finals
you will
of the
find out.
UEFA
Relax.
Champions League.
Yes.
What are you guys
Mm-hmm.
bashing me for?
Yes.
None of you guys
Just
talking
like in the
here are in
semi-final.
Champions League
Okay.
final.
Don't worry. Relax. You
You're
don't sound
doing
like
well. You're doing well.
you
Good,
sound like
good on
die.
you. Good
You're
on you.
doing well.
So what do you want
Thank
to
you.
Good
bash?
on
We're
you.
staying on.
Good on you.
So we staying on an Arsenal related topic. This is one that I would like to get everybody's opinion on, because this is purely about perspective. It's not even about statistics. PSG drew their last match 1-1 at home. PSG has won their league. Their league is wrapped up. Right now, like PSG, basically, I don't know about their cup, admittedly, but I would assume that what they're really fighting for now will be the Champions League. So, them not having that drive to compete week in, week out because their league is done. And then we can see that with them drawing. I mean, I to look at their lineup. The big hitters actually played for considerable minutes, 63 minutes, 70 minutes, and all that. Dembele, Cavachella, all of them. Since they're not competing week in, week out, do you think complacency has set in, which is going to make them lose momentum? Or is it better or more advisable, more important that they rest players against the Champions League? So momentum or rest? That's the question here. Momentum or rest? Which do you think is going to be advantageous going into the semi-final clash as big as Arsenal PSG?
Let's be honest. Rest, because that fixture is going to be a tough one for them. There's going to be a lot of running, a lot of pressing, a lot of in-game tactical adjustments. Now, naturally, momentum would have meant that they would have started to replicate or implement certain plans that they are hoping to use against Arsenal in-game, but there's going to be a lot of energy expended. Tired legs, tired minds, and I feel like, in the most ironic way, the only other team that has a bigger target on their back than Arsenal happens to be the team that is facing Arsenal, which is PSG.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So definitely it's going to be a tough fixture for them, and they need all the rest they can get because it's going to be a long 180 minutes plus at a time.
okay. I have a little argument to make on that one. Let me hear Tunde's perspective on that.
Yeah, I will agree with most of the things that Nabi said actually. Um, I think the guys would want to pick rest over what other momentum, even if they have lost the game. Losing one game out of probably their last 6 games is not doesn't change. It's not any relatively does not really have any major impact on their momentum, in my opinion. I feel they will still come out, they will do what they know how to do.
Okay.
Like I said, the game is not a write-off. Like I've seen a good number of Arsenal fans talk about it and say, "Oh, we're gonna beat them." Arsenal has the edge. Arsenal should be able to do justice. However, they should take a cue from what happened to Liverpool. We thought the same thing when they were going to meet Liverpool, and then they came out and showed us something entirely different. Maybe they came to show us a side of them that they should have probably kept till later. I don't know. However, like I said, the Arsenal team as a whole, they play with the kind of spirit around the team as a whole is very scary. And anybody that is playing them should be very, very watchful. The only team that I think would probably want to play Arsenal, and I would cross my leg and say, okay, Arsenal would actually like cry their eyes out before they get to go this Inter Milan. I
Inter
think
Milan.
every other
Yeah.
team
I
looks
don't even
like
want
a
to meet
team
Inter
that
Milan. I don't want to meet
every other
Inter.
team looks like a team that will, for example, Barcelona cannot even keep a clean sheet to save their life. PSG can also not do the same. Yeah, so it's hard to really defend those guys. However, in terms of attacking, they are good. Meanwhile, on the other hand, uh, Arsenal is a very good defensive side. They will know how to keep their own as well. So let's see what's going to happen to the partnership between Saliba and Kiwior.
Kiro. Man, Kiro has been giving good account of himself. The last two games, the partner that they considered goals, it was not Kiro's fault. It was the
Yeah.
Saliba bus stop. They need to
Yeah.
repair that bus stop.
I agree. I agree.
The bus stop bench is cracking.
Yeah, the reason I'm saying it is the dynamics of playing against a team like PSG is different from what happened in probably
With
Real
Madrid.
Madrid or in see. No matter how you try to defend those guys, they know how to dribble, and these are not guys that are too big to run. These guys will run. They are willing to run with you. See, if you look at the Madrid team, you can see some set of big boys doing some big boys thing. You can see some set of guys that are like, nah, I'm not going to run after this guy. Not like Jude was trying to do his best, and that's why you can see some of them are pissed, some of them are not pissed. There's a difference between when everybody puts in their best, and then you know that we just did not win this game, and then when some people are putting in their
Yeah.
best, some people are not. I don't know if you guys saw the analysis that Henri did when he was talking about the runs that Jude was making, and Mbappe wasn't making the same run, and you are the striker. Jude cannot be running ahead of you. It's never done.
Sorry to FYI, that's what I was trying to tell you about Jude from last season. That awareness from like playing from deep and making those runs was what made him extremely difficult to control.
Yeah.
That's why I had a bad stomach.
Quick shot. I like that point out.
And I just wanted to chip that in.
I was also gonna say we know Jude runs. He runs.
Like the timing, the positioning,
Sometimes he runs
he
more
always
than the
runs like a
striker.
striker.
Yeah. So it's not a new thing per se. But I think I understand where you're coming
And
from.
he finds it.
Yeah.
All right. That being said, so
Sorry. Let me just round up before
okay,
you
finish.
take it. So, Arsenal should be very careful. PSG should be very careful. It's going to be a game where everybody will try to be watching on who is going to come out
Make
first.
mistakes.
If
Yeah.
Hakimi does that, is on unnecessary overlaps that it does all the way to the front. Arsenal will not play. They will not let you. Won't reach. You won't drink water
True.
and drop cup. I can
Hakimi plays like a midfielder, including the guy that scored, their defender.
That being said, I would have let what's his name, Henry, actually give his own input on this, but I know that Henry is going to pick rest over momentum.
Well,
We know you're on the side of load management, so rest is your answer. Rest over momentum for you.
no. Well, first of all, I just want to shout out Tunde. He looks very beautiful talking about Arsenal. Maybe he should consider bandwagon. You understand? He looked
I beg,
very,
I beg, I beg, I beg, I beg, I
yeah.
beg, I beg.
But
We're
that
talking
being
about
said,
serious issues here.
that that being that
Beautiful,
being said,
sir.
dude, it
Beautiful,
looked very, very
sir.
appealing as a sports
Appealing.
analyst talking about
Beautiful.
Arsenal. You see how he
Tunde,
pointed out some things I wouldn't have
Tunde,
even said. So
Tunde, this is your fault.
Mm.
in
Tunde,
our
this is your
This is
fault.
last
your
You're
fault.
supposed
This
to
is your
always
fault.
be against Henry and
in
against
our
Arsenal. Now
last
you're here saying
in
that
our in our
Arsenal is in
last
good
record, you
state.
saw one of the topics. Cass emotionally agrees and explained the path through which Arsenal we win the Champions League. So I just want to shout him for that, acknowledging what we can do. But to quickly,
I still think PSG is going to knock you out.
no sweat.
That's for the record.
It's a matter of how many days, 6 days. I'm out on my chest. No sweat, man. We'll see. I'm ready for it. It's gonna be a big game of tactics. Enrique versus um uh, Teta, and yeah, we'll see what goes on. To answer your question, I think because all of us have watched football to a certain level, at this point, you need to rest your players because not only have you played the most of the football, it's getting to that part of the season where it's business and you need to, so
That's going to be my argument. So my argument is this: it's that the going into a game that big, mind you, just to point out, we are recording before the weekend. We are recording this on a Thursday, so they still have weekend matches. So depending on what happens over the weekend, then we'll know if they are actually still just resting. Now, resting the players would have been better done over the weekend before the game. And I think having a lot of confidence going into such a game with high confidence and momentum is actually going to be important because, as all of you have rightly said, this is actually a big game. So far this season, up to this point, this is actually the biggest game for PSG and the biggest game for Arsenal because Namdi rightly mentioned both of them have been questioned. Hold on, don't shake your head. Keep your head on, please. Hold your head well. Because both of them have been questioned for their both of them have been questioned their European pedigree for not winning the Champions League. So both of them actually want to win it. Both of them think they actually have a good chance to win it now, based on what is happening, the quality of their players, and they are both of them are similar in that they actually function very well as a unit.
the club, yeah,
Of all the remaining semi-finalists, Barcelona are the only ones that look slightly disjointed. The rest function as a unit. They are all worthy semi-finalists. So both of them function very well as a unit. Both of them actually have players that are willing to run for each other. So going into that game, yes, they should rest, but going into that game, a level of confidence will do you a world of good.
true.
So if they're actually going in, drawing to Nantes and possibly drawing or losing to whoever they play this weekend because they are resting players, getting into play Arsenal, I don't know. I don't think they'll go in with the same level of confidence. I don't know. That's just because
But the draw won them the league. So what are they playing for, if I may ask?
no, I don't. No, I think the league was already concluded before they played in the Nantes or whatever.
So
Now,
I think Nantes actually they won the league with on Nantes. I think
It was confirmed,
with the 1-1 draw with Nantes.
but
That's
technically we knew they had won the league. But yeah, I think with the Nantes game,
they won this league since day before yesterday. Since last week, I mean, when they won this league now. Hold on, let me see what you're talking about. So
yeah.
French league,
So
hold on, please. 'Cause I don't think that did not give them the league. That's not what gave them the league. So they have 18, so they're supposed to play 34 games.
mhm.
They are already 78 and 55 points. People in the second are Marseille is 55 points. They won the league.
Which still further buttresses my point. What are they really playing for?
Okay. They are not playing for anything. That's why I mentioned complacency. That is complacency, whatever it is. But when you think about it, if you look at the beginning of the Champions League, PSG did not look as good as they looked later. They gathered momentum. The tactics took hold. Everybody knows their job. Confidence is rising. You know how this thing goes. When you score two goals, when Wednesday, most of the time you feel you can score the third goal easily. Confidence, momentum. But then if you lose that going in, the only thing they can actually think is maybe Arsenal too is going to lose momentum because Arsenal, you cannot count on them. So because this what's the name? The Madrid wins. It gave Arsenal a lot of confidence. Look at how many goals they missed playing against Ipswich. If Arsenal miss those number of games without that level of confidence, they won't score 4 in that game. They will not. Because of all the teams that appear to be going down, Ipswich are the ones that actually put up a fight. We know this. Look at all the goals that Saka missed in first half. Saka missed about 3-4 goals in first half. Goals
Facts.
that Saka will put
Facts.
away. But he
Facts.
missed those goals. He was still smiling. Nobody was shouting. Because you have so much confidence in the team that more chances will come. That's the power of momentum and confidence, which is bringing that question. Yes, the rest is needed, but when you're resting still, like if you're resting and you're resting over the weekend, if they rest players over the weekend, maybe play the big boys first half or bring them in second half so they are warm and ensure that they will win. I think it will do them a world of good and give them enough momentum going into the Arsenal game. Yeah, that's
I still,
my
I still don't,
perspective.
I don't agree because even when you're playing, you have to also be wary of injuries as well. All you need is just for Dembele to be injured, and then all this conversation we are saying will be go right into the bin, and then we'll be saying something entirely different. Yeah. So they have to also be careful, because you'll
If
be
Dembele gets
surprised.
injured, Henry will jump up.
Well, it might just be God helping.
I was told that Saka was kicked over the weekend, and he almost had a major injury.
Yeah, they removed him.
They have to take him out. So you can imagine if they continue now, then because some of these guys don't really care that you're in it. In fact, they are not even happy that you're even playing in the Champions League in the first place, and they are not. So what do you expect? They will kick you now. So, and when they kick you, and then you have a major
And
injury,
you're earning
yeah.
hundreds of thousands.
Okay, let's round up on our thoughts on this. So Arsenal has disappointed all of us by not putting up a good fight for the league. Yes, it disappointed me. Keep your face one place. It disappointed me. I'm disappointed. I'm a Man U fan and I'm disappointed in
I
Arsenal, even if my
beg
team is
you, come off it.
even if my team is 15th. Even if my team is 15th, I'm disappointed in Arsenal. I'm disappointed and ashamed for it.
How can someone be disappointed when they are 15th?
Yes, that's
You
the
guys
thing.
have lost how many games? 16 games. If care is not taken, you might lose half of the season.
What difference does it make? I have embraced what Man U is. Idiots.
Bunch of failures.
I've embraced. But I'm a Man U fan. This is the time I'm supposed to show that I'm a fan by standing by the idiots and hoping that they get sense.
Facts.
But Arsenal has been contesting with it. Everybody was thinking, if the moment City slips up, Arsenal will win the league. But they messed up and actually even lost this league worse than they lost the other ones.
Arsenal was sleeping. He's not sleeping.
Pardon my pidgin. Arsenal, they run the fall.
This thing you are saying, me, I don't agree.
Of course, you will not agree.
I said it from the beginning that they will come, that they will come second. I was very sure. No offense.
See, this is the thing that usually triggers. This is the thing that triggers me.
It's not shit. No.
You see, this is the thing that triggers me.
Wait now.
We had this conversation at the beginning of the season. We had this conversation mid-season. My position was the same.
No, actually, this is not the point of the conversation. No.
Let
This is not the
sleeping
point
dog
of the question
lie.
I was
Let
asking.
sleeping dog lie. I keep warning you guys.
No, yes, we are letting sleeping dogs lie. That's why you're
Because
second.
there's only
That's
one
it,
person on this panel playing UEFA Champions League semi-finals.
Yes.
There's only one
Yes,
person on this
I
panel
agree.
that have the guts.
Who has not played semi-finals here? Everybody has played semi-finals. Everybody has won it here. What are you talking about?
Well,
Yes, that's correct. You're right.
no, that's not the right question. Who?
Relax, see.
That's not the right question.
There's only one person on this panel. There's only one person on this panel who has never won the Champions League before.
Thank you.
There's only one person on this panel that is 15th and languishing, thinking they are a football team, but they are a Sunday league team.
Yes.
Okay. Sunday league is still football.
So you want us to start doing one person on this panel?
There's only one person that has not won the league title in 20 years.
I say,
Who are you?
football
What
When
about
you
the
guys
PSG?
are shooting shots, when you guys are
Sunday league is still
rugby,
football.
A-League.
Manchester United
A-League.
rugby.
So that being said, where I was going to
there's nothing to
before
say.
Henry
You're
decided to
sitting on
hijack this.
15th. You're sitting on 15th. You might lose half of your season games, and you have the effrontery. You have the
If
guts
it's easy,
here
see,
to be
if it's easy,
anchoring a
if it's
show.
easy
If
to
I was
sit
you,
in 15th, hold on.
I'll be
If
under a
it's
bridge. I'll be under a bridge praying now. If I was you, I'll be in the
That's why you're not me
Vatican
now.
praying. I'll be in the Vatican
That's why
praying,
you're not. But
asking
Pope
God
don't
to
die
help
now.
us. That's what I'm saying. You don't even have the right to be hosting this show right now. You are winning
Okay, well,
with
yes, here you
Maguire
are.
header and you are celebrating. Is that a team?
Half or
No, today is
two.
that a
If it's
team?
easy,
Is that a team? What are we
if
saying?
it's
Is that a
if
team?
it's easy, if it's easy, go and win with Kiwi header. Kiwi scored a header, you did not win. What are we not talking? Anyways,
No,
what I was about to say was this. Arsenal has disappointed us by not putting up a good fight for the
this
league,
guy
but we
still
still
saying
have some
Arsenal is disappointed.
competition.
Goodness me.
We still have some competition for the Champions League places, even as they have increased the number of English teams to 5. 4 points separate third and seventh. They're separated by just 4 points. Man City has played one game more and they're in third with 61 points. Nottingham Forest is on 60 points. Newcastle 59 points. Chelsea 57 points. And Aston Villa 57 points. Now, this question I have is, of these teams, which ones are going to miss out on the Champions League places? Who do we feel are going to miss out on the Champions League places of these teams? So I know somebody was looking at this. Today we are looking at the fixtures. Do you have them there in front of you?
Okay. So for Man City will be playing they'll be playing Wolves at home, and then they'll be playing Southampton away, and then Bournemouth at home, and then Fulham away. There's no way they won't get a minimum of 10 points from there, and I think that should be enough, if you ask me.
Or Man City? Actually, even before, without looking at the fixtures, I always thought, I just felt like Man City is actually still going. Actually, is going to make it. So it's going to be between the rest. But the fact that they're actually that close, it's something worth mentioning. Nottingham Forest, personally,
Chelsea and Aston Villa are not going to make it.
who?
Who?
Chelsea and Aston Villa will make it.
Hmm.
Why not? They can. They're just 3 points away from the fourth position.
I agree with him. Chelsea and Arsenal will make it.
Chelsea and Aston Villa.
Chelsea and Aston Villa, sorry. That was a slip of tongue. Chelsea and Aston Villa will make it.
You see, we are used to Arsenal being associated with failure. Arsenal is not even here. It's calling Arsenal.
Yes. Sorry. That was intentional. Chelsea and Aston Villa.
I think before we make that conclusion, let me just pull up the remaining fixtures for Chelsea, because for us to, though I know Chelsea, I know they are very terrible. I know the word terrible is even like angry than little terrible for them. So they are playing
We're,
Everton,
we're,
which I
we're
don't
going
see
through it
them
right now.
winning. They are playing Everton, which I don't see them winning, because Everton, I don't know what they are doing at the moment. Their Otumokpo is really working. They are playing Liverpool. They are playing
They're
Newcastle.
traveling to Sweden first. They're traveling to Norway or Sweden.
No, it's talking of their EPL. It's talking of their EPL fixtures.
Apologies. There's no way. There's no way Chelsea is making that. There's no way. There's no way.
Chelsea can make it if you look at their fixture. That's why I said that confidently.
They are playing Newcastle. They are playing United. They are playing Forest. They are playing.
Everton.
Oh no, there's no way. Let's just leave.
That is what we should have avoided. Now we have the toughest running of fixtures. Man.
So I'm coming. Let me look at Newcastle, and that'll be the last one. So Newcastle is playing Ipswich. They should be able to get their 3 points from Brighton. Yes, maybe a draw, because I know they've always struggled against Brighton. They are playing Chelsea. They are playing Arsenal, and then they are playing Everton. So it's a bit tricky, actually, if you ask.
Okay.
It's not that straightforward. However, I think Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City will retain their position. That is if Man City doesn't get to the second position.
Yeah, the way Arsenal is going, Man City can actually steal that second position.
And I've always said this thing: draws odds more better than you losing. and I don't know.
More than losses.
You can take that anywhere and that break it down. You will always want you prefer to probably lose three and then win seven than to
Henry, I have something for you.
Yeah.
So this weekend, Aston Villa is playing Crystal Palace in the semi-finals of the FA Cup. But when we talk about the remaining games they have in the league, they actually have Fulham at home,
Yeah.
Bournemouth away, Tottenham at home,
Yeah.
and Man U away.
Yeah.
So of these games, how do you see Aston Villa actually missing out on the
Yeah.
Champions League
So
places with this?
why I made that conclusion and a bit confidently about that was technically they've played 34 games compared to the guys that played 33. So that's maybe an advantage if we have to be very, very calculative about the games in terms of games played and stuff. So other teams having played 33 games have a bit of an advantage since they've not played technically that game in
Okay,
hand. So
okay.
also why I was confident for Chelsea is because obviously you've seen I actually saw the fixtures a long time ago before now because I've been following the Champions League race. So my conclusion, I would love to see Aston Villa go, maybe Man City not go. I'm tired of seeing Man City, but yeah, I think
Beef, 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 beef,
Aston
beef.
Villa's fixtures, yeah, just because of okay, look at the game against Man City. They played everything they could, and I really wanted that game to end 1-1. But just that last minute of or last second of attention, lack of attention, they lost it. So their fixtures, the games they are playing, those teams, Fulham, they are teams that can take points from someone at the same time, you can win them. So based on that for Aston Villa and what I said for Chelsea regarding their fixtures, I think Aston Villa would just miss out, and Chelsea would also miss out. As for Nottingham Forest, they seem to be able to play compact now. I think that morale, like Leicester had in 2016, is something that's moving um, 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 Nottingham Forest. So yeah, Aston Villa and Chelsea. I would love to see Aston Villa, but yeah, I hate to see it. They would just not make it.
Well, personally, I actually think that Nottingham Forest should be where. I actually think Aston Villa is going to make it somehow for starters. I just think they will make it somehow, especially with how, yeah, maybe I have a soft spot for them as well. I don't see, I see them beating Tottenham. Possibly see them beating us. That's 6 points right there. Fulham,
True. Fulham
Fulham
is
has
their tricky
actually
game.
kind of tailed off. What do you say?
Yeah, I say Fulham is one of their tricky games because Fulham have been
Yeah, it's
competitive
tricky.
against all the
It's
top teams this year.
I'm actually more wary of Bournemouth because Bournemouth is playing at home. Fulham is away.
Okay,
Fulham has actually started tailing off recently, kind of like inconsistent.
true,
And I think Aston Villa has better facilities, have everything it takes to actually win Fulham at home.
true.
I actually think they have everything to win Fulham at home,
Well,
even if it's by one goal. So that Bournemouth away to me is even their most. I see that as their most trickish fixture.
so who do
As
you
their most
think
trickish
will
fixture.
not be the two among those seven?
Actually, for some reason, I think lack of experience might actually
Pick
undo
Nottingham
Nottingham.
Forest. Yes, but then again, like I said, that
I
momentum
think,
is really driving them. I thought about the experience, but if you see their game, they just find a way to win. So
but they
yes, in
lost their
terms of
last game before winning Tottenham. This Tottenham that they won, I don't count that because everybody beats Tottenham just like everybody beats Man U. So I'm not counting that as they did a fantastic job. I'm sorry.
well, sorry, on a lighter
We are
note,
together in this. It's just that Man is the admin of the WhatsApp group. We're in the WhatsApp group together. It's not that Man is the admin.
I'm just looking at the table now,
Yeah. That's what I was trying to say that it's still competitive. Like there's a lot of competition.
and the table is looking weird. That Man U and Tottenham are sitting 15. It's looking somehow like I'm finding it hard to understand that if they had told me that the time was going to come where Tottenham will be 16th
Man
or
U
17th on
15th.
the Lord, and Man U will be 15th. I would say no, no, never that kind of happen.
Honestly, if the three teams that relegated were competitive, we'll be having a different chat here. I would have taken all of you to Ibiza if Man U got relegated. So you missed out on that. Absolute Ibiza lounge. I'll buy a full
Thank
boat.
you.
But
All right.
sadly,
Okay. I want to get your this thing. So um then we'll get this, then we'll round up. So Henry, he said Aston Villa and
You ran away. You ran away.
uh, Aston Villa and Chelsea. Nnamdi, who do you think is gonna miss out? Which two people are gonna miss out? Chelsea and who?
I think it's Chelsea and somebody.
Chelsea
And
and
Nottingham
somebody.
Forest. I have a strong feeling that Nottingham Forest will definitely miss out. Their form has slowed down of recent.
Okay, that's what I think too.
So they are definitely there's something definitely like one of the ones that will fall out.
Tunde, do you have anything? What's your take on this?
I agree. I agree with him. National Forest and Chelsea.
Forest and Chelsea.
Yeah.
Okay, Forest and Chelsea.
this guy is writing things down. Who gave him the guts to be writing things down? As a Man U fan, you absolutely don't have any bragado
Okay.
or he's writing
Well,
things down. Like he's
we have
writing
come to
things down.
the we have come to
You
the
too
part of
talk.
the
Oga, you
show.
too talk. You too
We
talk.
have
You
come to
too
the
talk.
part of the show where Steez loses his mind, so we actually have to leave
Yes,
before so that we don't
Easy.
get try to get call
it's
somebody
like
to chain
siren
him up.
like alarm.
Champions
All
League
right.
semi-final. We are the
Okay, guys.
champions.
No
Shout out to the
problem.
Pope,
Guys,
man. Shout out to the Pope.
we will sit down again. Hopefully four of us will sit down like this before your Champions League final first leg, and we'll possibly get you to get humble. Otherwise, you
Yeah,
better
yeah.
pray.
I'm a bit humble.
Uh-huh.
We're not playing Real Madrid. I only brag, when we
Oh
play
Lord.
the likes of Real Madrid.
Oh God. All
They
right,
needed to
All right,
guys.
send a
guys.
message.
This is our time. Please follow us on all social media platforms, the Touchline Pod on Instagram, the Touchline Pod uh, on TikTok. Like, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll be bringing you more arguments like this, and put on your notification bell so you get notified when Steezy gives us
Steezy.
very very weird
Steezy.
take, or Tunde is fighting, or Cass is fighting with Steez. All
Steezy.
right. Until
Swaggu.
next time.
Swaggu.
Until
Swaggu.
next time.
All right, guys.
Bye from all of us.